Oh, Jeepers Creepers. Demamba put up here, what are your thoughts on Jordan Peterson, TJ? Yeah, a Canadian export. He's actually, so I'm from Ontario. I'm from Toronto, where originally, where he teaches at the University of Toronto, or at least taught at the University of Toronto before they bamboozled him. And I got to see him alongside Tucker Carlson here in Alberta. Nice. When was that? December, November? It was January, maybe. It was just a couple months ago. It wasn't that long ago. And he was in Red Deer with Rex Murphy. Rex Murphy was a well-known Canadian journalist, and he just passed away. I just saw that headline today. He died. So that's kind of a sad day for Canadian peoples. But at any rate, my thoughts on Jordan Peterson. I really like him. I don't agree with him on the Israel issue, but I do think he's done a lot of good. So, I think a lot of these pundits, Rex Murphy included, like the article that was written about him in the National Post said that he was a real advocate for Israel in his last days. And it was an issue that was really important to him. And I think, especially on the right, maybe on the left too, but especially on the right, we have a habit of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, right? We have this figure. It could be Jordan Peterson. In Alberta, we have one, David Parker. He runs an organization called Take Back Alberta, which encourages grassroots involvement in politics at a local level to kind of make the change that they want to see happen. And a lot of people don't like him for various reasons, and so they'll just throw the baby out with the bathwater. He's terrible because of A, B, or C, and therefore I can't listen to anything he says. And I think that that's a mistake. Well, I think that, I think debate is kind of, in my opinion, maybe you'll disagree with me, I think debate and kind of reaching across the aisle is kind of a distraction now. I think we're kind of past the point of that slow change. I think that things are going to change really fast, and we need to take greater action. I'm not saying take up arms and storm the Capitol. I'm just saying that debate and trying to reach the unawake is maybe not a valid tactic anymore. There's a time for everything, and right now I don't think it's a time for that. What's your thought on that?
Well, here we are seeing a difference where we're seeing a lot more people are starting to pay attention, or starting to get involved. Like what we call them the normies, the non-awake. There are normies, and more of them are actively speaking up. I can't tell you how different it's been too. We saw it a lot up there because I'm obviously, you see, I dress flags and stuff and very patriotic all the time. Well, we lived in the heart of the liberal nest of the but even they were starting to come out and ask questions like, man, do you know what's going on? Why did everything get so expensive? And I was like, oh, let me tell you. But we're seeing a lot more people wake up. So I think that this year, especially with all the BS they're throwing against President Trump, we're going to see an election here that's probably too big to rig. So I think that the normies have seen it, and they've had enough. And it's kind of funny because you can trace the roots of all this rapid change that's starting to happen. Like you guys, they got all that stuff passed. You're a few years ahead of us, so I can see exactly the same path we're headed down into that. But it's these recent college graduates that were all in the political sciences. They're the ones that actually write all the bills and everything in these congressional offices. Because a politician doesn't know how to write a law. Apparently, they're just the elected representatives.
They don't know much.
So they rely on these college graduates from these Ivy League institutions to set the policy and tell them what they're supposed to think. And that's where we're getting a lot of the pushback. And we're luckily seeing even some of the politicians realizing that what their people in their office are telling them is not the same as what the general public's saying, at least the ones that are paying attention. So a lot of them, they're just off doing the parties and stuff, probably the same up there. We see Trudeau always out doing stuff.
Yeah, he certainly is. Yeah, he's recently our Liberal Party. So yeah, I guess you have that kind of two-party system. I'm sure you have independents and stuff as well. There's Dr. Shiva, which is running as independent as well. I think he always entertains me when he talks. But we have a two-party system up here as well, which is kind of like a uniparty. And then there's some outside systems trying to make some ground. So you have your Liberal Party, which is like the Democrats. You have the Conservative Party, which is like your Republicans. Up here, they're basically red and blue of the same thing. We have the NDP, which is a socialist party, and they prop up the Liberal Party right now. in power. So basically, numbers wise, they can kind of veto anything the opposition, which is the Conservative Party, tries to do. Although with all of, like you said, Trudeau's doing stuff all the time with all of his flubs and ethics violations and all the drama surrounding him, they're really assuring a kind of a conservative supermajority. But, it feels to me like it's the puppet master up here with both parties. And we're just going to make this so bad that everybody goes over to this one without any resistance. And so now we're just going to have no resistance to whatever agenda we want to put forth through the blue version of our uniparty there. We do have the PPC, which is the People's Party of Canada, which I don't know if you're aware of them. The leader is Maxime Bernier, who was running for the leadership of the Conservative Party back before Pierre Poilievre was running, who's the current leader. And he didn't win. And when he realized that he couldn't really reform the party from within, he started his own party. And that would be like Canada's Populist Party.
Yeah.
And then next week, I actually have the leader of the Maverick Party on the show. And that is basically the federal party representing Western Canada. So BC, British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, they represent basically the economic engine here of Canada. Yeah. So we have a couple of options, but is it too little too late is my question, which is I'm going to bring that up next week. And for you guys down in the States, do you think it's too little too late for a turnaround, politically speaking?
I think this election is really on the cusp of just before too little too late. I think there's still a chance that we can revert stuff. And one of the big things I push to everyone I can come into contact with is, I don't know if it's the same up there, but here, all of our politicians' numbers are published on a website. We can call them, we can email them to their office. And I push the people watching, make sure you're talking, when you see something you don't like, call your representative, send them an email, do something that they know that the people are paying attention. And hey, we saw you were supporting this. We don't like that, because that's how they used to get information, and people got lazy, and was at the end of the 90s before they started really dumbing down the education system. And so I push that to everyone. Just go on, go check your even your state representatives, your local representatives. They have to all be available to the public, and they have to at least leave a voicemail. I say emails are great because you can put a read receipt on there and see if it actually anything happens. Usually 9 out of 10 times you get a response back. So I do tell people, don't go like off on a rant and start yelling and screaming. Compose something that makes them think. Something that says, hey, my whole family's against this, and we would like to know why you're supporting it. And it helps, because they have to know that the people who actually push those buttons and get them elected are paying attention. That's what they count on most of the time, is the uneducated voter. What they count on most of the time is the uneducated voter.